sure we got a bunch of people who aren't familiar with our content yet. My name's Isaiah. I'm the host of the Real Talk Chicago podcast and head organizer of the Mobile Minds Network.
My name is Edwin. I am the Win More with History. It's the History podcast in the Mobile Minds Network. I'll be spearheading history on, I'm going to say, I don't want to use Afrocentric level, so I'm going to say more of
history of melanated people.
Yeah, indigenous. Yeah, the indigenous people of different regions and different lands and our connection. And
be on the lookout for that, dropping early 2019, along with or following a bunch of different Real Talk Chicago episodes. Now, you guys, appreciate you tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, share. If you think it's trash, let me know that. If you think we're dope, let us know that.
True.
It all helps. This is a episode that I wanted to do for a really long time. About 2 years ago, a buddy of mine came to me and he was telling me about a mutual friend of ours, a person whose intellect I respect. And he was telling me that the guy's a flat earther, so like most people, I laughed it off and I'm like, no fucking way, right? And
when you say, you say a flat earther, this is someone that believes that the earth is flat.
So
right?
he doesn't actually claim to know what shape the earth is.
Oh, okay.
What he's saying is, for sure, the blue marble is bullshit.
Okay.
And so one of my other friends who I also like to debate with a lot, my buddy Rick, so the two guys in the debate coming up are Rick and Quick. Rick and Quick.
Rick was not planned. Was it? It was not planned.
Rick is a guy who likes to have intellectual sparring, and so is Quick. And they're both guys who I appreciate their level of conversation.
Very passionate individuals.
I think think that they are rational when it comes to conversation about things. So
agreed.
I had a buddy of mine, Tehran, you guys will become familiar with him. Him and Edwin did a different debate some months back, and you guys will see that for sure. That was 2017 WNBA All-Stars versus the McDonald's All-American Boys basketball team.
Basketball team, yep.
We do, I changed up a lot. I interviewed a lot of people with interesting stories. I got anonymous gang stories. I got all types of entrepreneurs. That's how Edwin got introduced to the network.
Yep.
Edwin's sat in on many episodes between there and now, but I really want to get into this episode about the debate.
It's pre-studio, by the way. Keep that in mind. It is pre-studio, so that's the difference. You'll be seeing, right?
So for pre-studio, meaning that now the network actually has a headquarters. We'll be going live to the public, top of the new year, recording booth, green screen. There's already a bunch of people and a lot of different things in motion, full product lines. We can make apparel. This is a podcast studio for podcasters who just want to come through, check us out. You want to rent out time, I got you, whatever you need. You need engineers, you need producers. Whatever you need, we got that's why it's a network. We got whatever you need, just let us know and we'll make it happen.
Yep.
But yes, this is back when I was recording out of, shout out to Tonsor Shop, all the guys there, Cuts by Sean. Check them out. We got a couple episodes up on YouTube with him cutting up the Bears. That's the Chicago Bears official barber. I was recording out of his shop. It was a really dope setting, but we obviously had to change spaces. We just grew a little bit. Plus, a lot of people walk in, and you guys will notice that people walk in a lot, and you can hear the train a lot.
Yeah.
Ignore that.
It's a little bit of chatter.
It's not super overbearing.
That's true.
Timeline of events, how this all came about. I talked to my guy Quick. He said some interesting things. I talked to my guy Rick. They both agreed to do the debate. I got them both in. Neither of them's easy guys to really tack down, so it took a little bit of time. I learned some crazy facts during this. I really looked into both sides. I really don't want to push any of my opinions before we actually go into this episode, but I do want to say, if you think something sounds like bullshit, write it down. Write your reason down for why it must be bullshit and look into it. You probably prove yourself right. You debunk whoever you don't believe, but don't just assume you know anything.
And, I think it'll be good to, pitch the idea that write it in the comment section, and if it's good enough, we might make a video on it.
True.
You know what I mean?
Tell us who you think won. Also.
Yeah,
Tell us who you think won. And don't be one of those people that doesn't even watch it and fucking comments. I really don't want to make an effort out of shitting on people like that, but I will, because I'm petty like that. So, like I say, I learned a lot.
Truth.
I thought I knew way more than I actually did. They both gave me a lot to look into.
Yep.
I edited in a lot of footage from NASA, memes, GIFs from the internet, just so that you guys can have a visual when these guys are talking about the things they're talking about, because a lot of people like to pretend like they know so much about science.
Of course.
I don't know fucking shit about science, but I do know that over the last year and a half I've done a shit ton of research. I'll come back at the end of the episode, we'll come back at the end of the episode and talk about all the things that we found on our journey looking into this, right?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Every flat earther started out trying to debunk it. I'm not saying I'm a flat earther. Edwin's not saying he's a flat earther.
Yeah, I can't say that.
What I'm saying is this is a good conversation, and I guarantee you'll walk away from it learning something. For those who have been watching the intro thus far, clearly this is not Edwin, or Edwin got a 10, whichever one you think is funnier. This is Dame. Some of you are going to be familiar with him. You'll see him popping up throughout our first season. I want you guys to keep in mind a few things that I left out of the intro, and I just want to have this conversation with Dame. Dame, how do you know of the globe without NASA? That picture that you have in your head right now when I say the globe, how do you know about that without NASA?
You mean without the textbooks and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, how the textbooks? Where the textbooks get the images from, right?
I wouldn't know about it.
Right. I mean, okay. And truth is truth, right? No matter who agrees with it. So just because a scientist says it doesn't make it true, right? Just because a scientist says some shit does not make it true. Or science, just because some scientist says some shit. And I have a question for you. Can scientific research be manipulated for a political agenda?
Definitely.
Okay. And what would you say about the statement that scientists are no more objective than journalists?
I agree. I feel like some scientists might decide to leave certain things out in their research findings. It's because they feel that they've been threatened by the government to, or
they won't get funding.
Exactly.
Right. And you don't even gotta threaten a guy if his whole life is about this, All right, and then, do you believe yourself to be an open-minded person or more of a closed-minded person?
I'm pretty open-minded.
I think the average person would say that. So, obviously we're going into this flat earth debate, and, I mean, what do you think?
I think the earth is flat.
Dude, what do you think about the fact that we had a debate?
I think the debate is good because everything that we've been told so far has come from one source. There's no one else out there that's been, contradicting anything that they've been saying. So it's a good thing that's out there. So I think a discussion that should be had.
Only if we question shit will we ever get undeniable proof, right?
Exactly.
For you to question the globe, what would it take for you to say that it's just a lie?
For someone to, take a satellite or a spaceship out into space and have a live feed and can show us
from takeoff to wherever the fuck they go, right?
Exactly.
I agree with you. I would love to see that shit too. I don't think that we're ever gonna see it. Or
one other thing I want to say
yes.
is with that source though, I feel like it would have to be not government funded. maybe some rich philanthropist that
Right.
decided that, look, I'm gonna build this machine. And
Some rich ass flat earther needs to build me this machine and send me the fuck there so I can know without a doubt, look, bro, you're right, dog.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, but
Yeah, because if it's coming from the government, like, just especially given today's day of like digital simulation and stuff, like they could be making that right now. We don't know, and then make it seem like it's a live feed, and
Right.
it's not.
right. So yeah, and I get that too. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what a skeptic would have to take into consideration. And if you don't, I mean, don't even go past this point if you know for 100% fact that you know everything about the earth or everything about what flat earthers have to say. Then you might as well turn it off now. Still give me a like, subscribe. You know, I'm pretty sure I got my view at this point. There's no point in you watching. All you're gonna do is throw hate, you know? But open-minded people, definitely, you're gonna wanna see a lot of these visuals when they're talking. So I know a lot of people might be listening in, you know, audio only. Go back and redo this. Watch it on YouTube, watch it on Facebook with the actual imagery. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you at the end of it.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Again, you all should know me from past episodes, Toronto, front row round as I was introduced there. Really quick on this, I'm not sure exactly why I am here. I am a guy from the east side of Detroit who sells tickets, executing a business strategy learned from drug dealers. The only thing I'm concerned with that could be flat would be my pockets and not having a flat-chested woman. So, with that being said,
Nobody wants to
start it. Did we introduce quick?
Nah, he semi-introduced me. I'm quick. Yeah, he was talking about me a little earlier.
All right. So I want to start out and talk NASA a bit, okay? Because from the bit of research that I had a chance to do, I see that there are like maybe some things that have been covered up, or some information possibly been suppressed. Could you talk on that a little bit?
I'm gonna let you go ahead and go first, Rick. I'm just,
We can do a coin toss if you guys want to do it that way.
No, I'll take some. We'll take some. We'll just.
So the question is,
got-
what is the exact premise of your question? Would NASA cover anything up?
Is NASA to be trusted? Would it cover it up? Like,
I don't think ultimately you should ever completely trust a government organization, but are they at their core central to any type of conspiracy is where I would take fault with. So do I believe that NASA has explored space? Yes. Do I believe they've been to the moon? Of course. Do I believe that there may be some things that they don't share with us? Of course I believe that. I think it would be naive to think that we have a multi-billion-dollar government organization just for exploration. So whether it's weaponizing space or using research for other government programs that they want to hide from the public and hide from rival governments, I would not only think that they are, I would expect them to and hope that they do. So, but they are to be believed they exist. So I need a better question for me.
Okay. I don't trust NASA at all. I don't believe nothing they say. I was a kid, I believed in most of the stuff that he just said, but I also have found out in further research that they don't cover stuff up, they make stuff up. And they teach us to follow the stuff that they made up. The research it's inadequate, and they lose stuff that doesn't add up with what they tell you is the new agenda. So they come up with new agendas and then say, oh, that old agenda, that math probably was wrong, and then they change the name of it or give a new scientist a whole idea that just basically to feed a program that was made by corrupt scientists that came from Nazi Germany. You know, they founded NASA out of Nazi Germany. These are the scientists who built this program. So when their whole focal point was mind control, and then you got guys like Eric Snowden coming out saying that they're using all this research just basically to listen to these conversations that we're having in this room right now, and they can watch your mom get undressed if she's doing it while her phone's right there and it's off or on. That's what I mean by don't trust them at all. I don't believe anything they say because they're fantasy. You know, when they say they've been to the moon, I believe that as much as I believe Captain Piccard is out there, motherfucking whatever, Star Trek or whatever, because there's no difference. The only difference is we were forced to believe one was true, and we were told that one is an infinite amount of possibilities, and that's where my opinion is. But that's opinion. There's some facts to back that up. I think these questions are going to clean that up.
My name is Kelly Smith, and I work on navigation and guidance for Orion. For this flight, it's time to head home. We're now traveling more than 20,000 miles per hour. The plasma reaches temperatures of 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Mission Control is monitoring all the data from the spacecraft, and then we lose communication again. No data can penetrate the plasma. No data can penetrate the plasma. 20,000 miles per hour. We must slow down to safely land in the ocean. Luckily, we have parachutes. One day people will be aboard. One day people will be aboard. So deceleration must happen in stages to keep things comfortable for the crew. It's great to be a part of this first space flight for Orion, and we're looking forward to beginning a new chapter in human space exploration. And we're looking forward to beginning a new chapter in human space exploration.
That's where a lot of the science from this comes from, right? So,
Well, I disagree with that premise.
okay.
That most of the science comes from NASA. I think most of the science about a flat Earth or a globe predates NASA by
It does. A lot of it
by
does.
hundreds of years.
So a lot of it does, but I was talking about more so like the subtopics that we're gonna get into that both of you guys know.
You touched on a few things. I want to, like, you know, outside of like your opinion, hear more on like some research that you've done, like what historic evidence
Well, then
you
I
have to support.
my fault. Well, when I said my opinion, I'm talking about stuff like Eric Snowden. He's a research scientist.
Well, he's not a scientist, let's be clear. He's an engineer.
He's an engineer that worked for the CIA.
Well, no,
in the Army.
he worked for the NSA.
Oh,
And-
above the CIA.
Well,
so they have
that's-
access to the. So when you're talking about like who's in charge of the research that we get, these are the people that enforce what we learn. They go over the books and say what we're allowed to teach, and it has to be a certain curriculum because of what they tell us. So I don't trust them. That's no different than being in a communist state, and we're in a free country. So
We're not in a free country, right? So
well,
let's
that's
just-
what you see. No,
let's clear that up too.
when you have to start cleaning up stuff and making it.
Well,
I'm not that. I wasn't raised like that.
we've
I'm
never-
talking about
the
our
government-
household versus what we're taught. And when you start making movies about how people jump back and forth from the government, I was just watching American Made. They're making money. They're making a lot of money off movies and entertaining you off how the government uses people all the time.
Well, first off, if you're gonna quote or take data from a source, I think it's important that we recognize the difference between sources. Edward Snowden was a contractor hired by the NSA, not the CIA, and he has no bearing on NASA at all. So if you want to talk about the government being corrupt in certain areas, that's fine. Furthermore, nobody has ever said that the United States of America is based off total freedom. We're a representative republic, so I just want to pull back a little on that. So if somebody told you that you live in a completely free country, they lied to you. And the government stated from the very beginning that it wasn't free. And the Constitution doesn't guarantee you ultimate freedoms either. So I want to clear a couple of those points up.
Pledge of Allegiance does, though. I just want that out.
Well, no, that wasn't it for us. I mean, we talk about black rights. I'm not a Bill of Rights fan either. I'm not really too big on any of that reason because I know that's not for us. So that was opinion. I was telling you my opinion based off how much money they're making. Because when you're talking about like an institution, not trying to cut you off, but you're adding on an institution that Hollywood embarks on adding the judicial system. They name names, they drop names, they show you who's involved and how they play ball. And when the black suits come in, Uncle Sam gets the buck, and we get whatever story they tell us. You know what I'm saying? So, but that goes for research.
So
that goes for media.
So
that goes
help
for
me understand something that
entertainment.
you're saying. Are you saying that the government controls Hollywood?
To an extent, yeah. I believe that propaganda is one of the tools they use to keep America in submission.
Okay.
Ronald Reagan was an actor, man. Come on, man. So how a person in 2018 who's intelligent enough to tell you the same mathematics that they have for the globe and then tell you why I still believe it's flat. Because most people are ignorant to both sides. There's a lot of people who believe in the globe and they don't know shit about the globe. You know, you start telling them, like, everybody knows that it takes really 8 days for the earth to go because it's on the tip. They're like, oh yeah. And they just start agreeing with you and they don't know shit. They just start making shit up and going along with whatever you're saying. So when you come with...
It's 23 hours and 56 minutes for it to complete a rotation.
But that's what I'm saying. A person would add more, take more or less. My thing is, if a person is not researched on both sides, I think it's ignorant to just take one side. And if we're taught one side, I don't believe that our ancestors all came up with a flat earth theory based off the fact that they thought they would fall off. And that's the only explanation that I ever heard in school. I never heard of intellectual understanding of how these people who they said built pyramids and had all this technology could come up with a flat earth understanding. So that's where my beginning of the research started.
So quick, it's pretty safe to say that you are not taking any NASA, I don't know, science or their word as fact.
Stop. Excuse me. What I really want to say, because that's not entirely what I'm saying. What I mean is these people manipulate the research. So they might have certain information out there that's fact, and then they intertwine that fact with theory, and they teach you both as one, and that's not necessarily true.
When you say theory, do you mean scientific theory or do you mean compulsory theory?
Both, because they can tell you that the earth is a globe and things fall, but you've never experienced that. And they tell you, they give you a whole side, they give you a lot of scientific reasons why you don't experience it, but then those reasons that they give you, the way time goes, the technology, because they're still building on technology, shows you different.
So your base is saying that because we can't prove that theories are wrong, is that what you're saying?
No, that's not. I'm saying they can't prove that they're right. They're telling you to believe something based off a thought that they put in your head.
For example?
Like up being down. When you look at the globe model, and I got a globe in my car, I should have brought it in with me.
I think we're all familiar with the globe.
Not really though, because when you've never seen a picture of a ship upside down and the balloons falling upward, as if it, from the angle of what they tell you is NASA's satellites, and you're looking at something from the southern hemisphere being swung at nearly 24,000 miles, going in, an hour, going in one direction on a tilt. You've never seen that, but they tell you that this is happening every second of the day.
Well, it is observable, just not on Earth. We have other planets that we witness rotate.
I believe that's 100% opinion. You've never seen it.
I absolutely have seen it.
I would love for you to show me right now what you believe, what you saw, and I want to go into some detail and some research.
Sure. So I
have some notes based off.
I've been at an observatory before. I've witnessed with my own eye through a telescope Jupiter. I've witnessed and seen with my own eyes Venus. I've witnessed and seen with my own eyes Mars. I know for a fact that Jupiter rotates, and I can see it, and I can see the storms. They're so large on Jupiter
that it looks like it's disfigured.
So they're all trying to figure out, is the universe spinning around us, or are we spinning around the universe? They tell you, we don't know shit. We're looking at a bunch of lights. You're gonna tell me that light and that light, that's 100 trillion light years away? How the fuck did you figure that out? And
don't they have an explanation for that shit?
No, exactly. That's what you just said right now. What you just said now is what everyone's natural reaction. Because anytime someone says anything about space, you automatically think, someone figured it out. You don't know the guy's name. You don't know the name of the experiment. You didn't look into it yourself. You just think when someone tells you, how far is the Earth from the sun? They'll say, 93 million miles away. Like you just,
right.
you everybody relies on someone figured that out and someone double checked it. Dude, it's math.
Right.
It's science. It's math. But no one really knows.
You're deceiving yourself. This is a fantasy.
What do you mean disfigured?
It doesn't look like a solid object.
Well, it's not a solid object. It's a gaseous planet.
Yeah, but that's not how they give it to you. They give you a solid foundation based off of gravity. That all that gas is composed, and those planets that you're saying you're telling me is gas don't look any different than the stars. When thoroughly observed on amateur telescopes or regular, you say you've been to an observatory, I don't see any difference there than when I look at my P900. It looks like a bunch of dancing lights. And I don't believe we've been told the truth or taught the truth about what our ancestors believe, nor what is actually going on up there.
I can view it with my own eyes. So when you say for proof, I've seen a planet, I've seen several planets, and I know that they rotate. I've seen them rotate.
Listen, you've seen the moon, and you haven't been told the full truth on the moon. You think the moon is a planet? I don't believe
it to be a planet. I believe it to be a moon.
I don't believe it to be a solid object that you can land on entirely in any kind of fashion. I believe it's a luminary, as described by the ancients, as it proves it doesn't reflect light from the sun, which is taught in school based off the spherical Earth theory, and it doesn't prove that. The light that resonates off of the moon is cooler than the light in the shade.
You're talking about the theory. I've seen a theory that the moon creates its own light. So so you saying
the sun and the moon are positive and negative, just like everything else around you. Just like the Tesla coil, just like all the most important of all the researches that has got us to the technology we use today, the AC conductor.
So the moon exists, right?
Of course, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying we haven't been taught the truth about what it is.
It's a moon. It's a satellite.
That's what you've been taught. I understand.
I've observed,
but that's what you've been taught that you observe. But I don't believe what you're telling me has any validation. I believe a lot, if not all of it, is based off mostly theory, and then the other is based off, some sort of fact. I believe it rotates over us. I believe that there's a center north, then the North Pole, and everything revolves around that. All the stars rotate 360 degrees.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If the North Pole exists, right, so then the South Pole exists, right?
No. We've been lied to about the pole.
So you believe in the North Pole and it rotates around us, but that we're, a flat circle?
Like a disc.
Okay.
The outer ring would be the South Pole, and the North would be the dead center.
You're talking about the ice wall. That's the ice wall.
Listen, I never said I agreed to an ice wall theory. That's what some people believe in. See, when you don't have the privilege to test and see things for yourself, you're taught to believe when you're seeing something. I believe it was the Homer's Odyssey or something right before that, so it's like they got the shadows, and their whole life you saw these shadows, and the people were scared of these shadows because they were chained to the wall. I guess their whole life all they seen was these shadows. And if you were to ever let them get the fuck out of that prison that they were born in and seen what was behind it, they wouldn't fucking believe. If they went back and told the people what they saw, they wouldn't believe it. And this is what the ancients were trying to explain to us from way back then, because we were being lied to, and they were coming in with all these different lies, burning literature, burning historical references and what these people really believed. It was a sin to have any thought other than what was mainstream belief.
So we're gonna let Rich respond.
We're got way off topic there.
Right.
But the point is that you said I am going off what other people have said, and I'm telling you that I've seen round, spherical.
Have you ever seen an
planets.
asteroid hit the moon?
No.
How the fuck did you miss that? It's supposed to be getting hit about 1,000 times a day by asteroids. You've observed this object. You're seeing asteroids go past everywhere with you, and you missed that?
So I've existed in the world, and I think that there's thousands of rapes every day, and I've never witnessed it.
I don't believe that shit happens. I believe that lying.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man? Bro, I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping.
I believe that lying.
Let's go on.
You're never gonna see one. You're never gonna see one on anybody's smart camera. You can find out how many cops killing innocent black kids on somebody's camera, but they ain't never caught a meteor hit the fucking ground. Between NASA and us on Earth.
Oh, no, that sounded like you was responding to rape.
No, I'm talking about
right. My nigga. Yeah, all these rapes happened today. He was drawing like a false comparison, but then the way you responded made it sound like
you're saying just because I haven't observed an event happen, the event didn't happen. That's not true.
Well, no, we ain't fine. But I always say the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
What?
Simply because you don't have evidence that something does exist does not mean that you have evidence that something doesn't exist.
What?
What country you from?
So the original...
See what rape happened and didn't know. You could have seen them all.
I could have seen an asteroid hit the moon not knowing.
How the fuck could you miss that?
I don't know, I missed lots of things. The point is that if Earth was, if it wasn't a luminary, we would be able to measure the heat off of it, and we don't. And
Are we not able to, or do we not?
well, we're not able to. If it is a star, and the star, the light that we see is from the heat.
I don't believe that. I don't believe in any of that. I don't believe in heliocentric. I'm a geocentric. I believe there is nothing but the Earth, and everything up there is happening around us. We are that special. I believe that we would talk different because they believe it's easy to control people when they're stupid. So they tell us a bunch of stupid shit. And I can go back and forth with,
But you can do the math.
That's why people get confused. Okay, listen.
You can do the math, and
I'm trying to explain something to you, man. Just let me give you a format.
All right, timer's going though. So these responses, 45 seconds, 45
there's
seconds.
a dead center north, and anything outside of that is south, and you go 360, then you can come up with the same math to make it blow. They came up with.
I'm talking about on the heliocentric model. You can do the math and predict where planets will be. It doesn't work off of geocentric. If it was geocentric, then none of the planets would be in an orbit of anything else, and it would just be a random coincidence that we could predict a lunar eclipse, a solar eclipse. We can randomly predict when Mercury was going to be in front of the sun and when Mercury and Venus are going to be in direct sight line of the Earth. If it was a geocentric model, we wouldn't be able to predict it.
All right. What was the question?
We were back at the telescope observatory situation, and he said, okay, when you look into these telescopes, the same way his P90, when you look through these telescopes, the image that you see, he's not saying that you don't see an image. He's saying that the image that you see goes completely against everything that we've ever been taught, which is true because it does look like a colored light.
It doesn't, though.
That's what I've seen.
Okay, so through a P90 it may. What I'm saying is if you go to an observatory,
I went to the one in Puerto Rico, and
you can see it clearly, and you can see even inside the rings of Saturn.
Hold on, wait a second. They show you the flag and the rocket ship out there, right?
What, on Saturn?
No, on the moon.
They show me nothing.
On the moon. No. So you're telling me that this fucking whatever you're looking through, you can see the rings of Saturn, but you can't see the rocket ship and the fucking flag that they posted on the moon?
I can absolutely see the mirror that they put on the moon in order to calibrate how far away it is.
But you can do that with lasers. You don't need you can bounce it off the moon from Earth.
I can observe the mirror that they put on the moon for us to distance it.
You're talking about a mirror, and I'm saying
from the observatory. You saying you could look through a telescope and see
the mirror on the moon.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
That's how we know how far. That's how we can accurately know that the distance between us and the moon changes, and we can predict it based on gravity.
I call bullshit. You ever seen the Science Channel? And I'm not talking about like the History Channel where they're telling you all the amazing things that they're gonna come up with in the future. No. The Science Channel where they're showing you what they're capable of doing. The scientists are out there every day working on the ships like, oh, I gotta go out there and maintenance this and that and this and that. How can they have something on Mars that doesn't need maintenance, but something that's right outside on Earth needs maintenance? How could something be on the moon for 50, 60 years with the technology that we had back then be running and functioning because they ain't been back?
What, on the moon?
Yeah.
How does the mirror keep on the moon? Is that your question?
No, you're talking about the rovers and stuff like that?
The rover on Mars, how does it exist without needing maintenance? It has a short shelf life. It will eventually die, but there is no atmosphere. Well, excuse me, there's limited atmosphere on Mars, so there's literally no way for it to rust out or experience some of the trauma that we're used to on Earth. You're not going to experience the same conditions on Mars. Why do you call bullshit? Just because you feel that way? Or
no, they've never fucking been to Mars.
We get images from Mars.
From the rocket ship that they sent one time that they're telling you that it's not Man, come on, man. Get the fuck out of here.
I've observed them launch things into space.
No, I'm not talking about
Look
the
at
Earth
the
is
time.
round. Flat.
It's so
Of course,
round.
It's so round. Do
The Earth
you
is
believe we
flat.
went to the moon 6
Eddie,
times
but
and back?
let's-
Yes. Do you believe we went to the moon 6 times and back? Of course you do. For sure
we
went.
for sure went to the moon.
Yes.
It wasn't a
Okay.
stage.
Hey, I'm not gonna debate it. I just want to know where you guys are.
I
at.
want to
That's
know
all.
where you
I
got
know
your
did.
research. Listen,
Hey,
man, here's
hey, look at that
100%.
I don't believe for one motherfucking second we went to the fucking moon 6 goddamn times and back, and we can't do it now. We can't do it now?
We can do it now?
No, NASA says we can't do it. We got to figure out how to get through the Van Allen radiation belt.
Hey, me too, man. I've never seen nothing leave the atmosphere, man, and go outer space. I've seen it go in a circle, and that's what you call going outer space.
All right, we're gonna move on from this one. I want to bring it back a little bit. So, in regards to your point earlier, I just want to know, like, and hear it directly from you. Do you believe, like, the thought of a spinning sphere is complete theory or fact?
According to NASA, all pictures from Earth to space are animated, which means they're fake. They're all CGI. That's according to NASA. You can Google that. We're able to see objects such as land, buildings, boats that are supposed to be behind the curvature of the Earth, according to their math, according to their model. That's NASA bringing, you know what I'm saying? I think that's 8 inches per inch squared, or something like that. But you can Google this. This is not something I'm making up. Google this and then look for yourself. And then you tell me what you think. Let's see.
In regards to what?
We can't leave lower Earth orbit. This is according to NASA. But we're on Mars,
So
rovers, and this and that.
we go. Is theory or scientific fact?
It's all theory. And not even know
It's all theory
I think it's made up.
based on what they said.
Yeah,
you're
I don't think there's any proof of anything that they've taught us in school besides what you can measure for yourself and see for yourself.
So
Which
you
is
don't-
like,
so you don't believe we're
So
on a
they're rich.
spinning globe?
No, I don't.
So, Rich, your thoughts about the spinning globe?
Well, the spinning globe is observable to you, and it is every single day with day and night. It's, excuse me, it's observable because of our position to other planets, which you can observe for yourself through a telescope. You don't have to believe anybody else's math formula. You can view it for yourself, and you can see that we obviously have to be moving in order for us to experience day and night. The globe spins because there is no force acting upon it.
The Mitchell experiments prove that the Earth is not moving.
Okay, so you don't think that was the next question? Do you think the Earth is moving? Both of get answers from both of them. Ryan, you gotta ask that.
Like you come up with, you say it's observable, and you say all of these are theories. Where are you getting your information from?
I'm seriously going off, and I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going off what I used to believe and what I was taught, and from what I was taught, that seems to be inaccurate. I'm a truth seeker, so I have several different resources that if you look up all of them, most of them point and say the same thing, you know what I'm saying? And most of it's revolved around Earth being the center of everything. We're all, you know what I'm
So
saying?
you just done your research, and all these like different scientists and things are like that.
Of course.
Okay, so like, but they're just not from NASA. That's really.
So a lot of them work with NASA, or NASA used them some kind of way or another. You know what I mean?
But the heliocentric model predates NASA by hundreds of years.
Not Freemasonry, which NASA's ran by. They're all.
Well, I thought it was
yeah.
Nazis. So is it
No,
Freemasons or the
the
Nazis?
Freemasons picked up the Nazis at the end of Nazi Germany and gave the scientists all jobs and created the NASA program. That's a fact.
You're talking about Project Paperclip.
It's a fact.
Well, it's not a fact.
Well,
You can't call that a fact.
Well, let's go to unproven theories that I've researched, because I got over 40 right here, and I'm just gonna give you half. Let's say dark matter, unproven. Dark energy, unproven. These are all unproven theories. Black holes, unproven. Singularities, unproven. Event horizons, unproven. WIMPs, that's weakly interacting. Massive particles, interactive massive particles. Macho, massive compact halo. Massive neutron dynamics, neutron stars, gravitational collapses, gravitons, gravity waves. All these are theories.
Yes.
None of this is real, meaning no one has ever proved that this is real. Inward pulling gravity, gravitational lessenings, gravitational construct. It's just gravitational radius, frame dragging, anti-gravity, virtual gravity, quantum field theory. General relativity itself has never been proven. Gravity itself is still a theory, according to all science and according to science. So how can you tell me what you saw?
10 seconds. You can wrap up. You got 10 seconds, quick, right now, and then Rich gets a minute.
Oh no, you can go, but I'm done.
All right, so Rich, you got a minute.
100% agree that all those are theories, but that has nothing to do with what we're discussing.
This is how you come up with the thought that the Earth is spinning and something has to block it and the sun is getting. All these people were coming up with these thoughts based on the belief that this was.
Let's be fair.
What I'm saying is that all those are theories, but theory changes depending on if you're talking about a communication between two individuals on what a theory is, and for scientists discussing with each other what's a theory. Because according to them, all math is still a theory. Just because 2 plus 2, you have 2 objects, then 2 objects, now you have a collective of 4 objects, is a mathematical theory. Just because it's worked every single time, and you can observe it every single time, we have no way of knowing that 5 million years from now, if you have 2 objects and 2 objects, and put them together, you're going to have 4 objects. It could be 12 objects in the future.
You got 10 seconds, right?
So, when you say theory, please understand that there's a different definition for theory. And none of what you stated outside of general relativity has anything to do with the Earth being round, a globe, or the helio versus geocentric model.
Gravity is what makes a planet a spherical object. It's what makes
right, but nothing that you talked about was actual gravity.
Yes,
just to be clear.
The gravitational pulling. Actually, you didn't listen to the...
I did listen.
Because all those are theories.
But there's a difference between gravitational pull and gravity. Just to be clear, there's a difference between a gravitron and gravity, and you're falsely lumping them together.
That's actually a perfect segue. So my next question, I really want to know, like, in regards to the whole flat Earth theory, what are your thoughts on gravity? We'll go with you and then Rich, to your point.
All right, so you got 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Oh, it's on me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. My thoughts on gravity is, like I said, they use it like a never-ending, throw off. When they can't feel it, throw gravity in there. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like a plan B. You know what I'm saying? So they got all these different things going on.
Plan B.
Yeah, like people don't, you don't understand it. You don't understand the math.
What do you mean by plan B?
You don't understand the math. Gravity kicked in. You know what I'm saying? We have buoyancy and density. Gravity is absolute. That's my official opinion on gravity. Gravity. I mean, my personal opinion is I've never seen this gravity thing, man. They've never proven it to be real, and to have all your theories based off something that hasn't even been proven. That's a long way to say, like, in the future, this is in the future is when you keep up with the graphics and you keep people submissive enough to believe that one day we'll get this far. Eventually, people will be lost, and they won't even think about the stuff that I'm talking about right now.
So what's the explanation?
It's just control. It's all control. It's all
no, but what's the explanation for why?
Like why things fall?
Buoyancy versus density. It's either lighter or it's heavier. You know what I'm saying? Air exists. We're in I don't want to say like a capsule, but our ancestors believed that we were in some kind of concealed situation here. I don't want to say a dome. I don't want to go just, I try not to give you all these different theories because it throws people off. But if you do the research, it explains, like, our air system is almost like a water system. We just breathe differently. We're born in water. And it's all a matter of relation. It's all related, If you look,
so you're saying there's multiple theories that you believe in, not just like
exactly.
Okay.
Of course, of course. That's what NASA is, man. It's a billion theories out there that they tell you some scientists came up with, man. I just look at the research I've looked into. It's more useful. It's more,
I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
All right, so
gravity exists and it's observable. And we know this because we observe it, and in fact we do our own internal calculations off gravity. Gravity is one of the weakest forces that's observable.
All right, hold my sandwich.
Oh, sure. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Here, you take that. Here. You ain't. Oh my God.
This is called gravity.
And in fact we do our own internal calculations off gravity. Gravity is one of the weakest forces that's observable, and it interacts with anything that has any mass, and in fact, it's observable that it even interacts with light. And in order for you to see the effects of that, you would need to have a large power telescope and see that light can bend around giant objects, such as double neutron stars. And so when you drop an object, it has to fall towards the center of the Earth. And because that's the center of gravity for the Earth. Objects of different weight or mass will fall at the exact same rate once you account for wind resistance. That's why you could drop a 9-ton weight and a 30-pound weight, and they will fall at the exact same speed.
So are they hitting the ground at the same time?
Well, once you can remove air resistance from the equation. Because if it was just a heavier object falls faster, then when I jump out of an airplane and I pull a parachute, my weight doesn't change, but my descent absolutely does. And that just shows you that air resistance exists. There is no buoyancy change, there is no mass change, but my descent changes. So if you're in a vacuum and you drop the lightest object known to man and you drop the heaviest object known to man, they will fall at the same speed because they're interacting with the force. That force has to be gravity.
There's no proof that we're in a vacuum.
We're not in a vacuum.
So there's no proof that theory makes any sense.
Sure, you can.
Wait, hold on, Rich. So Rich had 30 seconds left. Finish your 2 minutes.
You can absolutely create a vacuum on Earth. It's not that difficult. In fact, I've done it in science class. In my physics class, I created a vacuum. And I observed a feather falling at the same rate as a ball bearing. I not only witnessed it, but I created it myself.
You got it.
Gravity exists.
You got a minute to bro?
Yeah, man. Hey, if you have to create this, see, we're in a place of creation. That's what we're here to do. I believe most of my research has brought me to, purpose. Why I'm alive. Why I'm here. You know what I'm saying? I believe I'm a more spiritual person. I'm not religious, really. You know what I mean? I have times different religions, but I'm more spiritual. And what I'm saying is, if we're in a vacuum, the atmosphere is being held together by gravity, which is a theory. That's not proven. That means it's not true. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Listen.
No, that's a completely false statement I can't let go. You can't say because something's a theory, it's false.
Yeah, yes, I can.
No,
because they're giving you a science based off something that they haven't proven. That means all the science behind this theory is bullshit.
No, it doesn't.
How can you use something that you can't prove exists?
Well, I can't prove you exist. That doesn't mean you don't exist.
That's not true.
Well, prove you exist.
What do you mean, prove we're right here on the podcast recording live? I'm going to have a headstone, it's already paid for, you know what I'm saying? Well, there's a whole record of me, full the name title that
well, you say that,
gave birth to me,
for all I know, you're an illusion created by other people.
Yeah, I probably am, but in the future, like you said, it'll be...
But you can't just generally say that because something's a theory, it's false.
No, what I'm saying is the science behind what they made up behind that theory is false.
No, you can say you disagree with it, but you can't prove it's false then.
Listen,
you said it's false, prove it's false.
If the Earth is in a vacuum,
it's not though. Nobody claims
it
is.
See, this is the whole thing. Then why did you have to create a vacuum to prove this theory? If you're not saying this, you can't be double-sided on this shit.
No,
you gotta take a stance and stay on one side. Okay, so
gravity exists. The only reason objects fall at a different rate is because of air resistance. You remove air resistance, they fall at the same speed.
So that should happen in space as well, right? Because that's what this vacuum is, right?
So there is no pure vacuum of space. Now people use the term vacuum of space, but there is no place that we have observed now that has no gravity. Even in space, in the space shuttles, in anywhere that we can observe, we have witnessed gravity. But I understand what you're saying. There is no pure vacuum.
All right, man. I just, I can't argue against any theory, man. If I want to tell you,
that's exactly what you're doing.
No, I'm not, because I have scientists telling me otherwise. Auguste Piccard, when he built the
Hold on. We can move into that topic. We just got to dead this one here then.
Oh, okay.
Ron, you could do that intro.
I want to segue into Auguste Piccard.
Awesome.
Researching this topic, I came across a few videos. One was...
Let's show Rich the Hennessy commercial. So bring it up, continue.
just want to say this is where like the flat earthers almost had me on this side, just because I'm such an avid supporter of everything Hennessy.
Okay.
All right. What can Brown do for you?
He's just one scientist.
What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I was going to go into a whole bunch of different scientists just now, but he's one scientist, and his observable, according to his scientific research and the method that he followed, he said the Earth is flat. As far as he can see, 160,000 feet in the air, looking both ways. According to the globe Earth model, that's impossible. Now, this is the first person to go that far up in the air. He didn't have an agenda. He didn't have a side.
How do you know he didn't have an agenda? Were you there?
He's created the air balloon to see this. He's a scientist.
You got 90 seconds.
This is what you give scientists credit for being scientists. But when you take away his credit as a scientist, then his research doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what he did or what he said. I could say that Einstein didn't know what the fuck he was talking about, but then that'd be my opinion. You know what I'm saying? It's like I don't want to give. You know what I'm saying? That's the
right. But
the
you
first person
believe him. But
no,
you discard all these other
I'm going with the research of the very first scientist to go that high up in the air and give his opinion. And that's what it is. You ask what in my opinion, I think he's a brilliant scientist who didn't have an agenda. Who he set out to do something, he did it. They suppressed his research. Why? Because we never heard of him until fucking right now we're talking about flat Earth. That's why. That's how I know it was suppressed. You had to look that up. We weren't talking about this guy in school. I think I remember reading about him once.
You got 30 seconds, quick.
Yeah, but that's as far as Auguste Piccard, he's one of the many scientists, man. That's whose research was suppressed. You know what I'm saying? Upon for different reasons. So Auguste Piccard, great scientist. I'm done.
All right. Just to be clear, this guy said he was flat Earth. He's a flat earther.
No, that's not what Auguste Piccard said.
All right, so we're gonna get into Rich's perspective.
Okay, so my whole problem with Auguste Piccard isn't so much that I don't believe him, because I read his paper and he can believe that he observed what he believed. But this man came from a family of scientists, and he would be the dissenting opinion in his own family. If you read about his 4 brothers, all of who were scientists, they tried to discredit him in his own lifetime. And I find it incredibly strange that you just take his word because it agrees with you that he had no agenda, but every other scientist that you reference, either you blame the Freemasons or NASA or some other incarnation, why we shouldn't believe them. And it's either the biggest coincidence of all time that the only trustworthy scientist that ever existed happens to agree with your opinion, and then we have to discard the research of literally tens of thousands of scientists that have come forward and said that we have a globe, that we have a spherical Earth, and everything that feeds into us having a spherical Earth that we can observe. You can observe it through watching a ship in a port and watch how they disappear over the horizon. You can witness that we obviously have to have a curved Earth by going higher and then realizing that with your naked eye you can see farther. That wouldn't work if the Earth was flat. And the shadows would only work by how long they are, where the object is, if the Earth was curved. And as a long distance shooter, that I need to take into account the Coriolis effect of the Earth being curved depending any time that I shoot a rifle over a certain distance. Because of all these things, I think Piccard was wrong. I don't believe he had an agenda to give misinformation.
5 seconds.
But you can be wrong without an agenda.
All right, so quick, do you want to respond to that?
I don't know where he came up with one scientist, man. I got over 100 scientists over here, man. A whole bunch of projects for people to look up.
Okay, so you get 1 minute to respond, and then he's gonna get a minute back.
Now, like I said, Auguste Piccard was one of the many scientists whose research was suppressed, and because a person is a Freemason and because they do have an agenda, I don't think I'm bringing that up to say anything, but that's what the situation is. I don't have a personal agenda myself, and if he did or didn't agree with me, he's the first person to go that high. I believe that's what I said. No one else did that before then. So everything else before that, no one knew what the fuck they were talking about. No one got that high to see. It's on record. He's went up there. This is what the fuck he said he saw. It doesn't matter how anybody feels about this guy or his research or if he lied about it. He's the first person to go that high. That means everybody's opinion before that.
I'm 20 seconds. I know I'm not.
I got it. I got it.
Don't do that. Don't cut him off because he got time. You got 25 seconds.
By now, according to NASA, we've never seen an actual photograph. I don't believe it's that hard to take a picture. It's, you know, it's certain things that happens with everyday shit that I know for a fact I'm too smart to just go for what the person told me. So do the research, man. It's out there. If you look into some of these things, man, there's a million things you can look into. But start with Auguste Piccard, you know what I'm saying? Look up some of these, look up the gyroscopes.
All right.
Gyroscopes would work on a plane if gravity existed.
Yeah. All right, great. So if we're just going off whoever was the first one to get that high, why don't we take the Russians' word for it? Because they were the first ones to go to space. Why don't we take...
They said it was impossible. That's what they said, actually. And then the Earth, and then America...
I don't believe I know.
Yeah. Let him
so,
get his minute.
According to your own logic, we would have to believe the Russians because they went higher and they were the first ones to go higher.
And they said it was impossible then, though. So, yeah, I would say believe them.
So they have pictures. Russia has taken pictures of the globe, of the curved Earth. So has NASA. And we have pictures, and we have pictures from satellites. That show the Earth. And you can laugh it off, but this is photographic evidence of several different countries, several different companies that have shown us proof over and over again. If that was the case, then some of these well-to-do, richer, flat earthers could go up in even higher and take a picture to prove us all wrong, but yet they haven't. And that should be reason enough to show that the Earth is an absolute globe. And that, you know, being the first doesn't mean you're right either.
Nikola Tesla said the Earth was flat. He's actually credited to being the most brilliant scientist of all time. So,
okay. I got a question for you. Prior to Auguste Piccard's, you know, yeah, I mean, I'm just
his observations.
Before his observation, when he went up in the huge air balloon, was he on the side of like flat earthers? Did he ever make a claim to being a flat disc prior to that?
I do not know.
So there's no evidence saying he had any opinions about it going into it.
Yeah, that's really what I'm wondering. Like,
right, you're asking, was he biased going into
an agenda or having one?
Well, every individual has an agenda. Let's just be clear. Nobody has no agenda.
He didn't set out to disprove the globe. He set out to go be the first motherfucker to go that high. Right.
Alright, I got you. Now, Rick actually touched on this, but I wanted to ask you, like satellites and GPS, the ability for that, like, to even be a thing and be, like, possible. Like, how do you...
Well, did we hit topic 5 yet? Did they do 5 topics? Because I want to give a mid-break.
Yes, we've done 5 topics.
Okay, so let's do a mid-break. We're going to take a quick break.
About 6, just jumping back and forth.
I'll review them. I'll give them my objective opinion, and then I'll ride with whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Myself, that's my personal view. But I'm confused at why people don't come into an open thought like that. Like, I would have laughed at a flat earther anytime before. So I don't know. I don't even know what brought me to it. I don't even think I was looking for no flat earth shit. I think I was wanting the pictures of Earth because I thought that would make, I literally thought that would make the Earth a better place. I thought if we saw pictures, I was watching the news one day and I saw like, it was all these shootings, you know, it was like summer 16 or some shit. And then, or it was before, probably 15. But it was, basically I saw the news and then the weather came on. And I seen all the blue screen, the green screen, and all the bullshit. I'm saying to myself, like, why they don't show like the real images? You know, they should show at least like a view of
with all the space junk and debris.
Yeah, and all the shit that's happening. You know, that would be a beautiful look. People would look at shit different, see life happening, shit going on. So now I thought to myself, yeah, whatever reason, they probably. And then I went to look it up, and they not only don't exist, they tell you that they don't make those kind of pictures. You know? So everything we do CGI. You know, this is what we do. This is our.
Well, they do composite pictures because it's more than one satellite taking an image.
Yeah, but the same guy who told us about the composite pictures also admitted that, yeah, sometimes he just throws waves and fucking clouds and shit in there, you know, just to liven it up a little bit, basically.
But that goes back into his thing about ethics, because you can't give this scientific model to us with your opinion of how the Earth should look in it.
Why not?
Oh man, see this.
I would. Listen, because
I would too, but I'm not a scientist.
So here, all the images from the Hubble telescope then are bullshit, because they're black and white pictures, and then we add color to them to make them more appealing. And the thing is from other telescopes in space, like the shit's boring to look at.
So we left off talking about satellites and GPS, and I wanted to hear your thoughts on how exactly that works.
How's that? Okay, so satellites are satellites of Earth, right? They're in our orbit.
You know approximately how many?
I don't. It's got to be thousands.
Okay.
Because it's not just governments that put satellites into space; it's corporations, particularly communication companies. We use it for GPS technology to tell us exactly where we are on the globe. We know that the orbits work. Like you look at your DirecTV at Dish Network, it's in a fixed model satellite. I have seen satellites in orbit with my own eye through my own observable evidence.
Doing what?
What do you mean doing what? Existing? I don't know. Like
no, you're saying them floating. You're saying them. You saying I want to visualize what you saw. That you're telling me you saw. You're saying you saw something. Help me understand what you saw.
So Rich, you got a full minute. You got a minute and a half actually.
So what they're doing is they're existing. Like their arms will be moving, their regulators will be moving, their solar panels will be moving. I don't know exactly what they're performing, if that's what your question is. I don't know what duties each satellite has. I don't have a strong enough telescope.
Where'd you see them?
What do you mean? Where did I see them?
The satellites. You said, well, where'd you see? Like you look. I look up. I can't see fucking satellites. I'm just asking.
No. So you can in your telescope. I believe even in yours, you'll be able to see the International Space Station, which is a satellite. You'll be able to see the.
And how far is that?
The International Space Station. What do you mean? How far is it?
How far up?
I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. I'm sure it's knowable. So you can view these things. They're observable, and so I don't know what the question is about
GPS and satellite. That's just how GPS works, based on satellite triangulation.
Correct. So more than one satellite picking up your location. It's pretty simple stuff. I don't know what the counter argument to satellites existing is.
Question for you, because I understand you guys some.
Yeah, as far as satellites, I don't believe in satellites. I believe all our information has got to do either underwater cables, which they say 98% is, because the people who made them, you just look up information. Underwater cables is right there, you know what I'm saying? They don't hide this information. Stuff you can look up for yourself is as simple as trying to look and find this information. If you don't believe it exists, you'll never find it. But we've had radio waves, and we've been using those as frequency waves since the first radios, which they didn't have an idea about going out of space then, and they think they'd go to the moon or anything that you would probably use as a reference to say why we have those things. We were able to do that on the ground here on Earth. So that's my opinion about that.
All right, so Toronto.
So you can go home tonight.
Do it right here. We're in the studio. Let's keep it live.
Okay. Do you have a giant well so it can get dark so I can show him satellites? Because there's the ability to put in the exact coordinates. On any given day, there will be 30 to 50 observable satellites in your line of sight, depending on where you're at in the world. So you can take your telescope and you can actually look at them and see that they exist.
Like I said, the technology that we had here 100 years ago, we were able to get the same information back and forth to each other then without going out of space, and we didn't need it then, you know what I'm saying? We don't need it now. So as far as a necessity, I don't believe that that's a valid statement to say that satellites exist because we have smartphones or whatever, and then
I didn't say they exist.
If you look, I didn't say you did. I'm talking about this is my own opinion. Now, as far as what you saw, you saying you would know the difference 100% between an air balloon and a spaceship, right?
I don't know that to be true.
Oh, okay, well, I'm done. I have nothing further question. There's nothing else to say. Because if you don't know what you're looking at, how can you tell me for a fact what you saw?
Well, I can never say that what I saw is the truth.
Oh, me neither.
Okay.
That's you got to be 100% right there. You know what I'm saying? Always question the information, man. Look into it for yourself. That's what I say.
Well, not challenging you, like challenging you on that point, but like I know like a lot of countries, in regards to what's been told to us, like have sent out satellites to orbit the Earth. You know, the U.S. definitely included, Russia, many others, and from every photo that's been sent, you see around Earth. Like, why is it that one would still insist that the Earth is flat based off those pictures?
I wouldn't actually. I would tell you to do your research on those satellites and the thermosphere and the metal that they used for those satellites, and you'll find that the metal should be smuck. It shouldn't even exist. And they'll tell you it's because of gravity or whatever. That I don't believe these are proven facts. So if you look into it, that these satellites exist in temperatures that are 100 or 1,000 degrees beyond their melting point. And they're existing taking these pictures that you're telling me is a cartoon. So that's one, 3 or 4 or 5 reasons why I would say I don't believe in that. But I would encourage anyone to look this up for themselves.
So just for clarity's sake, you don't believe that satellites exist?
No.
Rich, same question. I mean, obviously you are getting on the side that the Earth is round. Can you defend the pictures that have been taken from the satellites?
We have pictures of the Earth from outer space, from satellites, not just our own government, not just other governments, but from communications companies.
All composites emitted by our own space agency. So
not all composites.
Emitted by our space agency. They're all composites. I can't speak for Russia or China, whoever's saying whatever.
So anytime you see an entire picture of the globe, it's a composite. Because a satellite can't take a picture from multiple pieces. Just like I can't take a picture of you from the front, a picture from you from the side, and a picture of you from the back, and then create a 3D model of you.
I can take a picture of the sun from Earth. Why can't I want to get the right telescope, but what do they got there? SETI? Why can't SETI turn around and take a picture of the Earth?
So it's too close to get the entire.
The search for extraterrestrial intelligence. I'm not talking about the ISS. I'm talking about SETI, the spaceship SETI that they sent supposedly to almost another galaxy now. Should be there. Why can't that take a picture of Earth? If we from Earth can take but that's a composite as well. That's not
it's not.
It's an emitted composite, man. You can Google this. We have never taken a picture from Earth according to our own space agency, man. It has never happened. I'm not making this up. You can look this up for yourself.
All right, you got 30 seconds left. Quick.
We sit by my satellites.
Well, we kind of went into like pictures that have been taken.
Oh, well, the pictures from the satellites. So that's basically, where I would go. I would direct someone to research that. I wouldn't myself.
Picture of Earth from Voyager.
Oh,
okay. All right. Really.
Non-composite. It's just a picture.
What else you got, Toronto?
Wait a second. So that line right there, the Earth has like a streak that we're following.
No, that's Earth. A little circle.
And then we could pull.
So where the fuck is this streak I'm talking about? We have a streak that's holding us on some type of.
No, there's a streak there too. Like that's.
What is that?
I don't know. I assume
Me neither, man. Me neither.
But no, this is to show that we have a picture of Earth from NASA, from the Voyager, the one that left our solar system.
Sorry. Moving on, I want to touch on the Atlantic Treaty. I believe I heard you bring it up earlier.
Yeah, I think it was off air.
Historic evidence. No, it was towards the beginning. But if you could just elaborate on your point.
I gotta go back over in my notes, man. But I know.
Here, I got you.
The Antarctic Treaty, I know for a fact we can't go past what some people consider the southern pole. but we can't go into Antarctica. And they say it's for scientific reasons or whatever the cause is. But, you know, whether it doesn't exist or it's infinite or it's an ice wall, we're not allowed to go there. We're not allowed to experience that. And that's, you know, going there to experiment, which would be what people consider the South Pole, which if you understand the model of the flat Earth, it will be the southernmost point of the ring, and the dead center of that model will be the North Pole, which we also, according to the Antarctic Treaty, can't go there either.
Not the Antarctic Treaty, just to be clear. Antarctic Treaty has nothing to do with the North Pole.
I'm going off what he.
This was the North Atlantic Treaty.
No,
North Atlantic Treaty.
I'm just clearing it up.
The North Atlantic Treaty, then, so people want to.
So I believe the purpose, the ultimate purpose of that was a financial one, so that Russian companies or European companies or American companies couldn't exploit any resources that were available. If I'm not mistaken, the Antarctic Treaty, as far as my understanding of it, is it was for preservation of Antarctica, and through I don't know if you've seen pictures of Antarctica or what it looks like at our research facilities and the overall damage that we're doing to that delicate ecosystem. I don't want to go too far on a leftist agenda here, but I think it makes sense to limit the amount of people that are allowed to go there, because there is no way to remove trash, remove waste, or some of the horrible things that we as a species bring to foreign environments like that, where we can't survive as we typically exist.
Yeah, like I said, man, I think it's a little bit of both. Resources is probably new land. I don't know for a fact the extent of why someone would lie, but I'm done making excuses for why they would lie. You know what I'm saying? Like how I really got into most of this stuff when I started doing research, it was like A or B, you know what I'm saying? Like either they lied about it or it didn't happen. You know what I mean? Didn't happen was never a thought of mine. I'm like, oh, you know, maybe they lied because of this, or maybe they lied because of that. And I found myself doing that for every single topic that I wanted some type of truth behind, you know what I mean? So you'll find your own truth, man, you know what I mean? If we can't go to certain places to do certain experiments, then of course we'll never be able to say, I proved this, or I've been there, I saw this, I did that.
I got a question for you then, because I'm sure the viewers are going to want to know, what do you, in your head, because none of us have seen anything, like you said, which is fact, 99.9% of the people on Earth have never seen the Earth from space. What do you imagine that the Earth looks like?
As it was described by Auguste Piccard, flat disc-like, you know, circular in nature, but flat, you know, and from one end to the other, there's, like I said, a dead center north, where that's where the compasses point to, and everything is south of that. You know what I mean? So that's the reason, that type of stuff explains why no one's ever circumnavigated the Earth ever from north to south. It has never happened. There's no record of it. People just go within the ranks that we live in this model. It never went from one end to the other that would prove 100% that, you know, the Earth is spherical or flat, but they tell you that maybe a satellite is doing or something you can't test for yourself, which I don't even believe these things exist, you know, so that's my personal opinion on that. You can look into the research though for yourself, because it's out there.
I believe the Earth is a globe. I believe that it is almost a perfect sphere, although it is slightly wider at the equator.
Right. Wouldn't that make it like egg-shaped or oblong?
No, because looking at it,
it would be measurable or observable.
Technically a cue ball, I would look at it as a sphere. Right. But it's not. It's not a perfect sphere. Right. So when I talk about something being a sphere, like it's as close as you can get. Like, you know, a ball isn't a sphere. It's close. But when I think of an oblong, I think about football, and I don't think of the Earth in the shape of a football. I think of it in the shape of a racquetball, or a basketball, or a baseball. Well, not baseball because of the seams, or even a basketball. So closer to like a racquetball or a cue ball, where it's completely flat.
I find it interesting that there's no one solid think disputing that it's a sphere or proving that it's a sphere? Because I've heard scientists who are respected astrophysicists say.
So you spin, when you spin pizza dough, it kind of flattens out. Yeah. Gets wider in the middle. And so Earth, throughout its life, even when it formed, it was spinning. And it got a little wider at the equator than it does at the poles. So it's not actually a sphere. It's oblate. And officially it's an oblate spheroid. That's what we call it. But not only that, it's slightly wider below the equator than above the equator.
A little chubbier.
A little chubbier.
Yeah.
Chubby's a good way. It's like pear-shaped.
But then, how fast are we spinning? How long have we been spinning this fast? And at no point is the Earth affected by that?
So we spin because there's nothing stopping us from spinning.
Okay.
Right. So laws of physics would dictate that we would continue to spin until we get acted upon by a force. Now, there is some inherent friction.
Wouldn't gravity be that force?
Well, no, gravity only works on something with, nothing with mass is interacting with us strong enough. Now, there are things interacting with us that are causing us to slow down. And in fact, we know over the course of recording a day that the days have gotten longer, right? Slowing down or shorter, excuse me. So
time's changed either way.
Yes, because we're slowing down, and eventually we won't.
That could be, based on his logic, though, that could just be pure nonsense. Because we have no way to measure and tell that for ourselves, right?
Well, we do. We know that a day is longer or shorter, and we know this because we've had to add leap seconds to our official clocks.
That on record was made, just if you want to talk about facts, that was made so there can be more work hours in the winter because the hours in the day don't change, but the sunlight changes for that morning.
Oh, I'm not talking about daylight savings time.
Yeah, well,
I'm talking about the leap second.
So they've added seconds onto the day?
They've added seconds onto the day. I think the last one was 2 years ago, just to make it so 24 hours still exists.
To make their calculations fit?
No, because we know it's going to happen again, and we know when it's going to happen.
Okay.
But otherwise, then we'd have to have a day be, and because we've already split up how hours work, so in order for hours to still work the same way and the same amount of hours to be in a day, we want it to work, but as we slow down and the day needs to be accounted for, we can either change our model so that every hour is 1/1,000,000th of a second longer, or every 5 years we can add a second. You know what I mean?
But if we're measuring a day based off the light that we get from the sun, then how can we really determine if that's ever going to change? Or if it has changed since the beginning of creation?
So we're not measuring it on the amount of light we get from the sun, just to be clear.
A day is 24 hours based on the amount of sunlight.
No, a day is based on how long it takes us for it to revolve around our own axis.
Around what?
Our own axis. So for us to go like this, to make one revolution. So for us to be in the same position
how are we
sun.
aware that we're doing that?
How are we aware that we're moving?
Yeah.
Because of our relationship with the sun.
That's exactly what I'm talking
about. No, you're talking about we measure it off sunlight. We don't measure it off sunlight.
What is our relationship with the sun? Our only relationship with the sun is that we get the sun to eat light from the sun, right? And so we're measuring our day based off of this object. It's not like it's obsolete. This is the whole point of our access. This access that you're talking about we're spending on is because of the sun.
Right. But it's not, it may be semantic.
I do want to hear your closing arguments, so if you could wrap up on just the theory that the Earth is flat or debunking the round sphere.
Did you have any last points, closing statements? Where you at?
Yeah, like I said, like I've been saying, I would encourage everybody to do their own research. Don't just go off what I'm saying and look into some of these scientists. Auguste Piccard is a scientist. Look into the Bolivia flats. You can see from one end to the other according to the circumference math that they give us for the globe theory. It will be impossible to see from one end to the other. It's the other end of the Bolivia flat should be at least 500 miles underneath your vantage point. You should not be able to see that. It should be underneath you. So according to just, simple mathematical errors that they make all the time with the globe model, I would encourage people to look it up for themselves and don't go off what I believe. And there was a few other things. I'm not sure if I got a chance to get over it, but
you got about 1 minute and 15 seconds.
Yeah, just like I said, look up your own research because it's out there for us all, man. And I'm not trying to push anybody's opinions. I don't want to tell anybody like they're stupid for believing something that we obviously taught from 3rd grade. But ask yourself why a person who has learned both models would think and just disregard of something that they've learned their whole life and will know. Like, I'm not crazy, you know what I mean? I want all people to, like I said, stop and do your own research, man. Look at the flight patterns on these planes that go around the world. Look up why no one's ever circumnavigated the Earth from north to south. It's never happened once. Look up, just the small details that you can see for yourself why we're in the state that we're in and whose agenda we're under. So, that's all I gotta say.
You got 30 seconds. You want to wrap there?
Yeah, I'll wrap it up.
All right, Rich, closing statements. Any last points you want to bring up? Any other questions you got for Quick? Anything like that?
Cool. So there's a couple of experiments that you can do for yourself that'll prove to you that the Earth is curved. And you can extrapolate from that we're obviously on a globe model. Go to any port and watch a ship disappear over the horizon. And you will see that it
if you get a telescope, it will come right back into your vantage point.
It will, and then when it goes over whatever horizon you have,
you get a better telescope, and it'll pop right back up into your vantage point.
So,
meaning it's straight in front of you, it's not going underneath you.
Hold on, I didn't interrupt your closing
That is true.
I'm sorry.
That is true.
So, and go ahead, and if you want to do your own research, read about the ship on the horizon and see why it's true. Take a look at sticks and put them at different distances. And if we were truly a geocentric model, then their shadows that they cast would be the exact same. If we're in a heliocentric model, the shadows will be of different lengths. Or a simple experiment you can do is see how far you can see while flat-footed, and then go up several hundred feet and look. And you can see a point further away the higher you are. Now, this would not be true if the Earth was flat, because your vision would be only governed by how far you can see.
You need a flat plane in order to do that, though, right? You couldn't do that shit in the city just because there's so much.
Probably not, because there's physical obstructions.
Right.
And when you do that, you can see, wow, why can I see further when I'm higher up? It's because the Earth is curved, so you can see farther. And these are simple things that you can do. And on top of all of that,
you got 30 seconds.
The amount, the vast conspiracy that would have to exist for us to be on a flat Earth would require the compliance of governments that have feuded against each other with life for hundreds of years,
who also signed Antarctic treaties together,
and would have never ventured away from this. Not only that, but some of the largest companies and some of the smaller companies would all have to be on board. To what end? To what end would they lie about this? So I appreciate your viewpoint, and thanks for having me on. I look forward to navigating the globe.
All right, so there was a lot of information. If you made it to this point, please definitely subscribe, like, comment, let us know who you think won. We're going to do another episode. It'll probably be short. I don't want to add any more time onto this. Well, we'll do a recap of what we found. We found some really interesting things on both sides. And you'd be surprised how much of that you really need to look into. Ask yourself, after everything you've heard, do you still hold the exact same opinion you had before you watched this? Did you hear about anything new? And did you look into it? I'm very intrigued to know what you guys think. Join the conversation. Use our hashtags on social media so we know you're talking to us. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Mogul Minds Network. Appreciate you guys. Take it easy.